Now here at the newsroom of Bixpo 2018, here I am sitting with Dave Mooney, Executive Director of NREL. Well, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So is it your first time here in the Bixpo event?
It is my first time at Bixpo event and my first time in Korea,
in fact. Is it? Welcome to Korea as well.
Thank you so much.
So have you had time to look around and see what's going on?
I have had a little bit of time. It's a very impressive expo. I've just come from participating in the R&D conference, and was able to see a lot of very impressive research that's taking place at KEPCO and at KEPRI.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What was more interesting that caught your eye among this whole exhibition that's going on?
Well, there are several things. I've spent a lot of time talking to our KEPCO colleagues, and I've spent time at the KEPCO booth, and much of the research that is taking place within KEPCO is very well aligned with the research that we're doing at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in the state. So a lot of common interest and a lot of very impressive progress in some of these areas in power systems, but also in chemistry that that I've seen presented today that we have a lot of interest in at NREL.
Oh, that's good to hear. Can you briefly introduce to our viewers about NREL?
Yes, NREL stands for the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and we're the principal laboratory in the United States that's dedicated to the research and development and demonstration of renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies. We're a laboratory of the U.S. Department of Energy.
So you've mentioned research. Can you specifically define what kind of research that you're doing?
Yes, and my current position actually is as part of the executive team, and I'm responsible for long-term strategy at the laboratory. But I focused my career in two main areas prior to this position. The first is that I'm a physicist by training, and so I researched photovoltaic materials and devices, and so have been working much in the solar industry and research business most of my career. But I've also done a lot of work in power systems research and trying to understand the implications for the U.S. power grid for deploying a lot of wind and solar into the system. Wind and solar have unique operating characteristics, very distinct from conventional generators. So we need to understand how those new technologies interact with the grid so that we can maintain the reliability of the grid.
So you're more into energy transition?
Yes, very much.
What specific field in energy transition are you more interested here displayed? So
I just came from some very interesting work in the distribution system that KEPCO is engaged in.
Yes.
And it involves developing the controls and the data management and the algorithms necessary to have many different technologies talking to and coordinating with each other. So you can maintain a distribution system that's optimized both from a power system quality and performance perspective, but also economically optimized. And so this involves a lot of different disciplines. At NREL, we are very active in working with high performance computing and developing the algorithms necessary to process very large quantities of data in real time and make that data actionable and use it to control the grid.
Among the whole global industry of energy, where do you find Korea standing at, the status of the energy industry?
Well, what I've seen here at Bixpo has left me very impressed. Korea is clearly standing out to me in the areas of research that KEPRI and KEPCO are engaged in, are world leading, very forward leaning research areas that could have big impact in an energy transition. So it's in particularly, I found in some of my reading prior to coming to the meeting, the area of electricity storage deployment. Korea is among the leaders in the world in that area at this point. So that's going to be a critical element, I think, of the energy transition, and being able to realize the 20% renewables that Korea has as an objective will be made much easier, and the system will be much more reliable if storage continues to decrease in cost and Korea continues to deploy it into the system.
So as you are aware that the KEPCO vision is energy transition and digital transformation,
Yes.
and the vision of NREL will be? Can I ask?
It's very immersed in both of these topic areas.
Yes.
In fact, what I was referring to in looking at the KEPCO booth and the distribution system research that's happening,
Yes.
that's very much about the digitization of the grid, of taking information, so digital information that's generated by many interactive elements in the system, and using that digital information to manage and control and operate the grid. So we're very active in research in that area.
So you find KEPCO and your company aligned, the visions aligned?
Very strongly, yes.
Oh, okay, that's great to hear.
Very, very strongly. So it's very impressive, yes.
So we can look forward to more business opportunities for both Korea and your company.
We hope so. It's part of the reason I'm here is to continue discussions with our colleagues at KEPRI, and to look for ways where we feel like a collaboration will help us both move forward more quickly.
Well, we look forward to great progress. So before we conclude, we'd like to hear if there's any comments or suggestions or opinions that you would like to make to our viewers of BIXPO. Would you like to say something?
Well, I clearly think based on the growth of the meeting and the enthusiastic participation that I've seen so far, that I struggle to make comments for improvement. Clearly that there is a very much interest in BIXPO, and I would say keep going in the direction you're going, and I think the meeting will continue to be successful.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dave Mooney, Executive Director of NREL. Thank you, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.